Hey Python people, it's Mr. Irving here again with a video on how to set up your background in your game. Okay, and this is actually going to have two parts to it. First part is how to actually get the background and save it. Make sure you've got it in the right format. Second part, we're going to go to the code and talk about how to use it in your game. So if you already know the first part, feel free to skip it. If not, I hope this will help. So anyway, the first thing you got to do is you've got to find some sort of an image that you're going to use as your background. And you can go anywhere you want. I like this opengameart.org. You could do Google Images or whatever, but I know this is going to work. No. So I'm going to find an ocean background. It's going to search right here. So here's this one will work, okay? So you'll notice here that the files are .png. They're pings. Sometimes they're JPEGs. Python seems to work really well with PNGs. JPEGs usually work too. So I'm just going to do this. So you click on this just to expand it, like so. Okay, so there it is. And next thing we need to do is we need to save it. So we're going to right-click. And we're going to say save the image as or save picture as, depending on what browser you're using. Now this is the tricky part, okay? You have got to put this in your starter game folder, which is on your desktop, in the images subfolder right there, okay? And we're going to call this water. Now they call it water 1.2. You can rename it if you want. And just make sure that you add .png if it's not showing up here, because you want to make sure if that's not there, it's not going to be able to find it. Okay, so we've got it there. We're just going to kind of double check just to make sure that we've got it. We're going to open up a little folder there. We're going to go to the desktop. We're going to go down to the starter game file folder right there. Images. And there's water right there. Okay, so it's all good. Now, make sure that it's a PNG or a JPEG. Make sure that it's named as such when you save it. And then you want to make sure also that it's big enough. So some people started off with a really small one. This is huge, of course. Start off with a really small one. Remember, if you start with a small picture and you blow it up, it's going to get all kind of jaggy and look ugly. So start with a big one, okay? Now, so we've got it. It's in the images subfolder, and now we're going to go to the code and talk about how to do that. So if you go to your starter code, which is right here, okay, right here where it says load images for your game, right near the top, right? Use PNG and JPEG, okay? So there's a couple of things that you need to do when you set this up. First thing you want to do is you're going to name it something, all right? So let's use this as the galaxy. Now, it doesn't make any sense to call it galaxy, so I'm going to call it ocean. So we give it a name for the variable, and then, let's see, what was that? Water, I think? Water.png we called it. Okay? And so the first thing that this line right here does is it grabs that pygame.image.load, it goes into the images subfolder, gets water.ping, and it puts it into this variable, which we're going to call ocean, just so we know what it's called. Otherwise, we have to use this whole thing to refer to it, and that's really not for lazy people like me, okay? So once you get it, you pull it in, and then we're going to make sure it's the right size, okay? So that's what this scale, pygame.transform.scale does, okay? Now, it's not called Galaxy. That was the last one. It's called Ocean. So we're going to rescale it. Ocean equals pygame.transform.scale, and you got to change this again. Again, we're not using Galaxy. We're using Ocean, because that's what we named our folder. I'm sorry, our file. And I think it's, yeah, screen width is 1200 right there. So we want to make it the same size as our screen width, because it's going to, right? It's going to show the whole thing. Okay, so that's the first thing you've got to do, is you've got to put that in there. So we've named it right here. We pulled it up, called it Ocean, and then we scaled it, which means we made it the right size for our screen. All right? Now, scroll down here a little bit. So that's all good. It's ready to be used, but we haven't put it up there yet. Now, here's the tricky part right here. Under game variables, down a few things down here, we got black, white, green, red. We got the score and Zargon or whatever your things are. And right here, we're going to say the background is equal to, not galaxy, but ocean. All right? That's what we're saying we want it to be. Really important step. So you got to do these two lines up here. Pull it in, call it ocean, make it the right size, and then we're going to set the background to that variable ocean right there. Okay? Now, the only other thing that we have to do is go all the way to the end of our code, right in this section down here where it says drawing code should go here. All right? So, and that, you're going to blit it to the screen. All right? Notice what we're blitting. We're blitting background. Well, we've already said up here that background equals what? It equals ocean, right? So that's gonna work. All right? And we have to say the X and Y coordinates. Now the way we do that is we say where we want it to start in the upper left of the picture. Well, that's the upper left is the upper left of the screen, remember, which is 0x and 0y. That's the upper left-hand corner of the screen. So it's going to start drawing it there, and it's going to be 1200 wide and 800 high, because that's what we told it when we did the scale. Right up there. Okay? Now, this should work, assuming, and maybe I should just double check the spelling of that one more time, just to make sure I spelled it correctly. So we'll go to the desktop, we're going to go to the starter game folder, we're going to go to images, and it is water. Okay, we're good. Alrighty. So hopefully that will work. So we're going to try it now. We're going to run it. We're going to run the module. Sure, we'll save it. Okay, now it isn't this background because we did that separately. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom. There it is. This is the background that we chose. Looks good? Yep. Okay, so that worked. And let's just do those things again. So make sure that you save it into the right folder, which is the images subfolder, okay? Otherwise, because that's where we told it to get it, right there. Images, okay? Make sure that you name it correctly, which includes .png. Make sure that you scale it to whatever the size of your screen is. Then down here, if you down where we have the game variables, you're going to say background equals whatever you called it up there. In this case, it's ocean. And then we blit it to the screen down here in the drawing code. Okay, now one crucial thing here, which may not be immediately obvious, but when it runs all this drawing code, it's kind of like layers. So the first thing that it puts on goes on, and then it puts stuff kind of on top of that. So that's why you don't see screenfill.white, because immediately after it does that, it puts the background on there, okay? Then it puts Zargon and Boron or whatever your players' names, and then it puts the score, etc. So if you say, I know I did this right, you're not getting an error message, it's not showing up, make sure you check the order here, okay? So it goes kind of from the back, which is the first thing, to the front. That's the last thing, okay? So if you were to move those around, you would not see the background. Okay, that's about it. Hope this helps. If you got any questions, please feel free to ask, and have a terrific day.